how to be as smart as Elon Musk, but more importantly, how to create something truly new and unique. This show is for all innovators and high-level dreamers. Let's talk about it.
Marathon, yeah, say that to me, yeah, say that to me, oh, marathon, you can say that to me, yeah, say that, you can say that to me, marathon, yeah, say.
This show today is sponsored by NutriShop Parker. The store offers customers a broad spectrum of top quality, cutting-edge dietary and nutritional supplements from top brands with a low price guaranteed, along with exceptional individualized customer service in assisting them in achieving their health and fitness goals. The NutriShop mission is integrity, professionalism, teamwork, leadership, compliance, equal access, education, mentorship, efficiency, reliability, and execution. This is the NutriShop way. That is the supplement brand that I personally use on the daily. Like I said, this is the fourth episode I've showed you. My creatine container is completely empty because we are getting buff and strong from the products. Use code Brandon for free shipping. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get started. Back in the day when I was in college, I talked to my college dean, and he said that college is only here for two reasons. The first reason is to pick at you, prod at you, and see how much you can take. So not only does everybody around you know how much you can take, but also more importantly, you know how much picking and prodding that you can handle. We'll talk about that. The second thing is that he said college is here for you to understand the concept of learning, for you to understand how to effectively teach yourself things, and for you to have a good gauge of how you retain information. College is only there for two reasons: how you learn and how much you can handle. Pretty much everything in college other than that is really just filler. It's garnish. You're not really learning tools for the job that you're majoring in. I'm sure we all know this by now. And I think that's a fascinating topic because when we're talking about intelligence and we're talking about Elon Musk and how, obviously you may not think Elon Musk is very intelligent. If you have a political motive, that's fine. We can talk about any high-level thinker that you could imagine, right? It could be Jordan Peterson. It could be whoever else you consider smart. The concept of who we consider smart and what we consider intelligent, I think, is very fascinating because it really boils down to the second reason. These people have perfected a couple different things: how they learn, what they retain the most, and then married it to their true interests, their desire. Once you have those three combined features, pretty much everything is opened up for you. There's nothing that you can't do in terms of learning, building, innovative structure, creativity. Which leads me to a story. A couple days ago, I was working on my camera settings and I was getting so frustrated and I was getting drained because I was like, man, I don't know everything about this camera. I'm not the only one who has a Sony ZV-E1, but why does it seem like I'm the only one who can't get my videos on YouTube and have them look crispy and have them look top quality? And I kept tinkering with it and then doing a bunch of different trial videos in my computer, and then I was exporting it and it wasn't top quality, and I was racking my brain, and then I sat down for 5 minutes and it clicked for me. It clicked immediately. I had an intense ego. I was going about this in such a prideful way that I didn't even realize that I was holding myself back. I was my own worst enemy when it came to me figuring out that problem. In this specific instance, I was like, okay, what I figured out is, since I'm not the first person to own a Sony camera, I'm not the first person to upload a video to YouTube and have the quality be horrible, I need to stand on the shoulders of the giants who've done it before me. And it just clicked just like that. I was trying to reinvent the wheel, but the wheel has been around. So then I started looking at other stories. I was like, okay, so who invented the car? And I looked it up. And you know who it was? It was not Henry Ford. It was Carl Benz. I don't know how to pronounce some of these guys' names. Alexander Winton, things like that. And then I looked up who invented the wheel. And you know whose name wasn't on there? Henry Ford, Carl Benton, all those names. I think I just butchered the name. None of those names were the people who invented the wheel. So, although they are tremendous innovators, etched in stone in history, they didn't invent the wheel. They invented the car that was a build upon the wheel. So then I was looking at, okay, let's make a topic about Elon Musk, rocket science, SpaceX CEO, in charge of the mission that just brought astronauts home. And I think growing up, rocket science was like the number one position to dictate if someone was truly intelligent. There's an old saying that says, well, it's not rocket science. So we all kind of agree that rocket science is a very intense, hard topic to fathom. It's very difficult to comprehend what rocket science is. So anyone who is a rocket science has a high level of intelligence in our perceived community. What I realized during it is that it's not really about the rocket science. It's about the lack of ego. It's about you diving in deep and learning what other people have already learned, devoting yourself to learning what they have learned, being able to recreate step by step by step perfectly what the people before you have done. And then that gives you the opportunity to innovate that 1, 2, or 3% more that etches you in stone and etches you in history. Another old saying, good artists copy, but great artists steal. And I think that although there is merit to that, I don't think that that would be the full scope of what I'm trying to explain here. So I wanted to bring in that topic so we can kind of make sense of the jumbled stories that I'm kind of putting together for you guys. It's not about stealing, but it's about recognizing that you don't have to do all the work. You don't have to do all the work. What you have to do is study other people's work and then put yourself in the middle of it and innovate using your own ideas and your own strategies, and then you will be the innovator. Like, nothing is really new. But if you build upon something that exists, you create something new. So going back to my camera situation, I just had to look up videos of other people who had struggled and figured out the perfect settings for YouTube. I copied that. And then once I'm able to recreate the look using the same lights and everything else that they're doing, now I get to put my flavor in it. Now I get to make my videos a little darker, a little bit more intimate. However it is that my style dictates and what I really want to portray on YouTube about the image of me. Because when you think about it, people don't even really like new. And maybe that's a different concept for a different video. People really don't like new. They like familiar and they like a little bit different because they don't want a carbon copy, but they will tolerate a carbon copy over something brand new. And I think there's a lot of instances in music where you can point to different examples of, like, there's a lot of artists who sound like Future, and they are popular, but they're not as popular as Future, because Future spawned a whole sound, right? But it took him so long to establish that sound, but he had to come in sounding like other artists. He's been around for 20 years. Before he even popped off, it was sounding like other artists, getting his foot in the door, blah, blah, blah. And then eventually he found his own way by innovating and doing his own thing. But if you remember when Young Thug came out, this is just the beginning. People hated that. People hated that. And if you realize and you watched Young Thug, he kind of moved away from that type of dictation into more of a traditional rap sound where you actually understand what he's saying. Right? The song popped off because it was very interesting, all this stuff. But when it comes to true likability, true like loyal fan bases, like people were really not messing with that. So to strengthen the concept of standing on the shoulders of giants and how there's not really true innovation, it's very few and far between something truly new coming out. The last 3 years, I was looking at my life and I was like, man, I feel like I'm in a loop. And I think other people have felt this way. But I want to go a little deeper. I think majority of people are going to understand the first layer of the loop I'm going to explain. The first layer of the loop is I wake up, I go to work, I maybe go to the gym. I eat, sleep, poop, do it all over again. Loop, loop, loop. Like, is this what life is? I'm like, living paycheck to paycheck is another loop. Trying to break out of the matrix is another loop I think people are in, where there's, I can't figure out how to be successful. I can't figure out how to live the life I want to live, and this. And I think that truly is a loop in certain aspects. But what I was realizing the past 3 years, I was like, not only am I in a loop, I'm in the same loop as my parents. I'm in the same loop as every human who's ever existed. Means that when I'm 0 to 3 years old, you're just learning how to speak. And we all have to just learn how to speak, just learn how to walk, just learn how to write. And we pretty much have the same parameters where it's down to a science where if your baby's not walking within the first year, there may be some developmental issues. I mean, like, we have such a science when it comes to a human's development. Then we have, you're going to have puberty in your high school age, like in your teens, right? So that is a development that we all go through, a loop that we all go through. You see where I'm going with this? I am in my 30s, right? 32. And I looked around at 30 and I was like, man, my dad was 30 and he was trying to figure out what it means to be a man. And he was trying to figure out how to put his mark on the world. He was trying to figure out what the next 30 years are going to look like. He was trying to figure out how to take care of his family. He was trying to figure out how to make sustainable money and a system for creating income where you're trying to be financially free. I was like, man, we are all in the same human development loop. We all go through tragedies. We all go through heartbreaks. We all go through rite of passages. And it was really messing with me, right? When I was like, man, like, this human experience, if we're all going through the same, very similar human experiences, then what's the point? What's the purpose of a human experience? Which led me to the topic of what it truly means to do something new. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm assuming if you're listening or watching this and you've watched other episodes, we may think similarly. When it comes to what I believe my purpose is here, is to create something new. I am after something new. I'm after not being who someone else is. I want my full authentic self. And my full authentic self is somebody who has done something no one else has done. And I have no idea what it's going to look like. Which is why I was fighting so hard against my camera settings instead of looking it up. I don't want to copy someone else. When I sing, I don't want to make a song that's already been sung before. I don't want to write in the way that someone else writes. But in the pursuit of individuality, I had to take a step back and look at my ego and look at my pride and look at what it really means to make something new. And the only way I've been able to find it, using all the examples of people who I know have created something new, they all stood on the shoulders of the giants before them. They all looked at a problem and said, has it been solved yet? They didn't waste their time trying to solve the problem. They first took time to see if someone else has done it. And I think that is true. That is truly the first step when it comes to making something new, is making sure you're not recreating it. Quick funny story. I was watching Malcolm in the Middle. You guys may know this episode. It's a pretty popular episode where Malcolm spent the whole day writing a song on the guitar, and he presented to his family, and he thought that this was a masterpiece. He felt like this song came from the depths of his soul, and his soul screamed out for him to make this innovative song, and he sang it with his full chest, and his parents and family laughed at him because they were like, this song is already made. This song already exists. And he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to play guitar anymore. Because, like, he didn't look to see if the song was already existing. Like, he didn't do any pre-research. He just kind of like, well, first of all, I guess it's a perfect example of an arrogance that he thought that his brain came up with that type of song, which means it must have been a great song, right? He must have really, truly wrote it down as like, this is a flawless song. But if you haven't made a song before, what makes you think that you can make a great song? And maybe I'm not cooking on this point, but it's a point I'm going to make anyway. The research ahead of time into whatever field you're trying to do You have to approach it egoless, prideless. You have to do your pre-research on it if you really want to do something great. If you truly want to do something worth doing and innovative, because there's 8 billion people in the world right now, but there's a lot more people who have existed over time, right? And I don't know the math. There might have only been like 7 billion people who have existed up until this specific point in time. Because obviously we started with one person and then, it's more of like a graph. But the concept is, if you're going to make something new, what makes you think that you're the only one who's made this new thing? And maybe you don't want to make something new, but it all kind of boils down to what it truly means to create, innovate, dream at a high level. This is not for people who are get-rich-quick schemers. This concept is not for somebody who is like, I just want to make it by any means necessary. I'll do whatever it takes, and I'll sell my soul to do this, and I'll copy, and I'll steal, and I'll kill, and I'll destroy. That is not who I'm talking to in this podcast, in this episode. This is not for you. This is for somebody who wants to live authentically, who wants to work authentically, and who wants to create something truly unique and great. This is it. You find people who have done very similarly to what you want to do, and you figure out everything about what they did. The process, the settings, the lighting. If you want to be a filmmaker, you need to study Spielberg and know how to recreate Jurassic Park if you had to. That is the only way you can make your own Triassic Park or Cretaceous Park. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to make a dinosaur movie, you have to look at the person who did it the best. Otherwise, you know what you're going to end up as? The to-be movie Jurassic Park makers with the overdone CGI. That's a joke of a movie. I'm sure you're going to make your money from it. If, like I said, if you're just here to make the movie and, Tubi's going to pay you a few $100,000 to distribute the movie and you're like, okay, bam, we're good. Good. This is not for you. This talk is not for you. But if you're like, I have this innate desire to make a dinosaur movie that's just a step more than Jurassic Park, which is a tall task. So because it's a tall task, like rocket science is a tall task, you have to look at who's done it before you, study, figure out the steps, recreate the steps, and then now you can innovate the steps. So to make it way more plain and way more clear, there's 4 steps to creating something brand new. There's 4 steps to being as smart as Elon Musk. There's 4 steps. You must first figure out how you learn and the environments of which you learn and retain best. That's step 1. Step 2. You must devote yourself to learning everything about your subject and researching all the industry giants that came before you. Step 3. You must put into practice and execute everything you've learned to the degree where you can seamlessly recreate what the other giants have done. Step 4. Have fun, because you understand it now, right? So if I've left you with anything in this episode, it's those 4 points. Evaluate if this is what you want to do. Evaluate if you truly are up to the task of creating something new. And let me know when you do it. I'd love to be a part of it. I'd love to watch it if it's a movie. I'd love to blog about it if it's an article, whatever it is. Happy hunting.
Yeah, say that to me. Yeah, say that. Yeah, say that to me. Oh, marathon. You can say that to me. Yeah, say that. You can say that to me.